Welcome to our fourth and final installment of the Karger web series Highlights from the Portfolio in the course of Frankfurt Book Fair 2021. It's my pleasure to greet you online. Usually we would have met you in person at the Frankfurt Book Fair. However, it's also nice to say I am actually hosting this from the Frankfurt Book Fair, and it's my pleasure to interact with you in this online surrounding now. The topic of today's discussion is partner publication projects. Before we dive into this, I have two household items that I need to cover, but I will start with a short introduction. So my name is Julia Kersebaum. I'm the Karger Manager for Academic and Research Institutions, and as I've already mentioned, I'm the host of today's event. Now to the household items. This webinar is being recorded. It will be made available to you after the event has happened. After the event, we have a short survey where we ask you to participate if you have the time. You also have the option to click and select that you want to receive additional information on this topic. So as I mentioned, the topic of today is partner publication projects at Karger. I have the pleasure to do this event with three of my colleagues, whom I'm going to introduce to you in just a second. Just some quick facts about Karger to begin with. We are an independent, family-owned publishing company. Our focus is biomedical publishing. However, we have products and solutions for basically all stakeholders in the publishing community, in the healthcare community, excuse me. And I think today's group of presenters will give you a very good overview of what that means for us. So let me introduce with my colleague Yola. She's the head of the Strategic Competence Center for Industry and Societies at Karger. She's been at Karger since 2008, and she will cover anything that relates partner publications in relations to the groups of industry and societies. Next up, we have Catherine. She's one of the heads of our editorial development unit at Karger. She will give us a bit of background into publishing with partners and what that means for Karger in the context of this webinar. And the last and final presenter of today is Chris. He has recently joined Karger. He's the head of academic and research institutions. So he will look at the academic side of this topic that we will be discussing today. So it's my pleasure to say welcome. And I would just start off with the first question. And I will start off with a rather general question on this topic. So question number one is, what, from your perspective, and also from Karger's perspective, is a publishing partnership? And I would give the floor to our speakers.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. Thanks for the introduction and this question. I'm going to answer it by saying that Karger Publishers firstly has a long time experience in publishing and partnering to find the right solutions, not only for individuals, but mainly also for academic institutions, clinics, as well as for corporates. We have long-term partnerships with academic consortia, medical associations, conference organizers, as well as corporates. In terms of partnerships, can you move on to the next slide, please?
Sure.
Thank you. A partnership usually originates from different motives. It could be the need or requirement to grow the organization's reputation and visibility, to gain international reputation in a specialized field, to support early career researchers, but also to get scientific accreditation by raising awareness and helping to advance knowledge and its application, and even the need or requirement to enhance or support promotional activities. So we try to address those needs and provide appropriate solutions accordingly. Next slide, please. So we're not only a partner for traditional publication formats, such as journal articles, supplement issues, or book projects, but also for rather new formats, such as partner portals or partner publications. At the same time, we try to combine traditional formats with innovative approaches to cover all sides of the cycle of knowledge. So for example, we have an affiliation where, in addition to a distribution of more than 1,000 print copies to its members and the opportunity to publish their Congress abstracts within the journal, the society is now also working on an educational course that is going to be hosted on our LMS. With another society, for instance, also affiliated with one of our journals, a new publication format, such as 3 different fast facts publications, are also currently under discussion as a complement to the more traditional publishing elements. Another example is a corporate client with whom, in addition to the books and supplement issues they publish with us, we are currently discussing new ways to distribute their content through other media and channels to further increase their reach and make their content more visible. And lastly, another example that I'd like to share is that of another corporate client with whom we are currently developing additional materials, such as videos and summary sheets, to complement a new edition of a book that they have published with us. So you see that there have been some transformations in recent years, which of course also affect the nature of our partnerships. And we continuously strive to adapt them to the developments and needs of our partners.
Can I follow up with a follow-up question on that? And that would be, I'd like to turn this question on its head. Why would a partner, especially for you, why would a corporate partner pick Karger as a partner for a publishing project?
A corporate partner, mainly because of course, on the one hand, the long time experience we have in publishing and our editorial network we have. On the other side, it is of course the scientific background and the scientific accreditation that we offer as a independent scientific publisher.
All right, brilliant. Thank you very much. I move on to question number 2. And I would like to ask this question or pose this question to Catherine. Can you narrow down some of the significant changes in running partnerships that you have seen in the last years from an editorial perspective?
Yeah, thank you so much, Julia, for that question. I think I'm going to pick up on some of the points that Yola was just making and really position the changes we're seeing in a broader landscape, both on the publishing side and also on the science side. Obviously, the health sciences are an incredibly competitive landscape, and so there's an immense pressure for all of our partners to really have a very clear and differentiated voice to attract perhaps students or researchers, or to attract funders, or to really be visible moment in the landscape. And I think publications are a really key component to that, and historically have been a key component to that. But there's a real sense of how to make them visible as scientific articles, for instance, continue to grow at a rate of 5 to 6% a year. How do you make your voice and your publication stand out among there? And I think editorially, we therefore have seen increased interest in pinning down the specificity of the publication space and pinning down the specificity of the voice early on in the process. And I think part of that storyline is also tied into what Yola was talking about the range of different opportunities that are coming up. I think you can think of the open access movement and the open science movement. You can think about the range of new indexing services that might be available, or the range of new formats that are available. So I think there's also an interest in thinking about what should the format of a publication be. And both of those things are then linked into really early stage discussions with the partners in order to develop a customized and tailored solution to them in thinking about their publication.
All right. I do have a follow-up for you as well. I missed out on telling the audience, if you have any questions, please drop them in your go-to control panel under questions. We'll try and get around to them during this webinar. If we don't find the time to cover all questions, we'll come back to them at the end via email. My follow-up to you, Catherine, would be, from an editorial perspective, what makes a good partnership, or what qualities do you appreciate a partner to already bring with into the partnership?
So I think there's both a sense of what one might be looking for, but also the sense of, I don't want to say the term playfulness, but the interest in exploring partnerships together to really hone what might be the voice. So I think a sense of understanding perhaps that the sense of publications and the range of publications, and to being open to think about new formats, but also in perhaps in thinking longer term and scaling things up. So really to also allow some time for the early stage discussions, I think would be really important to us, I think, on both sides.
Yeah. I mean, Iola has mentioned that the partnerships we look at come in very different forms and mediums. I think that is a very important point when we discuss partnerships in general. So
yeah.
Thank you for that. I will move on to question number 3. And that question I would like to ask Chris. And that is, so besides the discussion of partnerships coming in different mediums, we at Karger have 2 more or less new products that we can create and develop with partners. And those are called partner portals and partner publications. What I would like to know from you is kind of what is the difference in relation to which partner would benefit most from which product, and what would be the ideal partner experience?
Sure. Well, before I say how they're different, perhaps if you could click onto the next slide, let me start by saying how they're the same. They both are Platinum OA solutions, and they generally offer what we would see as 3 key benefits for customers. Firstly, it's a publishing platform, so for researchers at their organisation at any stage in their career can publish in that publication. Secondly, it's about learning. And what we mean by learning is that I think one of the real values of these products is that the partner is fully involved in the publication. And so it's a really good opportunity for researchers at the organisation at any level of experience to get involved in managing a publication. And I think that's something they can use throughout their career. And the third area is around collaboration and promotion. Both are really good vehicles for promoting your organisation's research to the wider audience, and I think also supporting collaboration by giving a better highlight to it to the people that you'd like to work with more. In terms of the differences, I think there are 3 key areas where they differ. If you could click, please, Julia. The first is around scale. So partner portals are a dedicated section of the existing journal, Biomedicine Hub. They have their own section homepage, they have their own characteristics. They generally publish around 3 to 5 articles per year, but are as part of the overall publication. Partner publications, in contrast, are an independent publication within their own right, and as such, they tend to have a higher number of article expectations through the year. There's different levels with the different projects that we work with, but on average, we probably see around 25 articles per year within a partner publication. And naturally, as a result of those 2 factors, BMH partner portals tend to operate at a lower investment level than we see for partner publications. The second main difference is around the level of involvement of the partner. If you could click, please, Julia. So as I mentioned earlier on, I think one of the real values of these products is that you just get fully involved within them. Within partner portals, generally a partner would appoint 3 to 5 section editors. They would be working on that section throughout the year, but in the full support of the editor-in-chief of journal and also with us at Karger to help them through the process. For partner publications, generally that's where the partner's looking to take a much stronger and a longer term role in the editorial management of the journal. Firstly, we would expect those to be continuing in perpetuity. But yeah, it's really defined by someone who's looking to take a stronger role in the overall editorial management of that publication. And the third key difference is around the level of customization. So with partner portals, what the partners immediately benefit from is the existing structure and workflow and the reputation of that journal. So it operates much more as a kind of turnkey solution. Partner publications are much more customizable. So, we will work with partners throughout the process, but right from the start of developing the idea and the concept. And, that's really, I came through in Catherine's point around wanting to talk about how those partnerships might work. And I think partner publications are a really good example of where, it's a fully customized publication that would be aimed to meet the specific requirements that partner's got. In terms of the kind of customer profiles, if you could click the next slide, please, Julia. So, touching back on some of the things that Yola highlighted as the motivations for our partners, I think you could say broadly there are three that they would be looking to achieve with these. Firstly, they'd be looking to support their early career researchers, so giving them a place for them to be able to publish, but also to learn about management of publications. Secondly, about growing their organisation's reputation and visibility as a research hub. And thirdly, about growing their reputation in a specialised research field. Both of those really support all of those goals to some extent. The difference really is in the scale of that the partner is looking to take and the level of involvement that they might like to have. And so they really work for lots of different partners. There's no one particular profile. The thing we'd say with these is that if either of them are something that's of interest, all the other things that we've talked about, then come talk to us, because we can help to guide you through which would make the most for you as an organisation.
All right. I will move on to question number 4. And that is, what is the outlook of how partnerships at Karger develop in the next 3 to 5 years? Are you developing and planning to develop any new services or products? And maybe as an addition and kind of as a semi-follow-up to the previous examples of partnerships in the form of partner portals and partner publications, how do you see the already existing partnerships developing in the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay, well, I can start with this one. I think about the outlook, I think there's an easy answer and a difficult answer to this question. I think the easy answer says that, what we've seen over the last few years and what we continue to expect to see over the next few years is more tailored requirements from the community. I think everyone's, seeing to make their research stand out, and there's lots of different requirements that they might have specifically as an organisation. And so the easy answer says, well, expect to see continuing different requirements. The difficult answer is what those things might be. And if I had to make an estimate on the things which I think might come up in the future, taking the content aspects to one side at the moment, I think 2 areas I can see are, wider integration in the publication workflow as a whole. I think there's lots of conversations around integration of things like preprints at the moment, but there's other aspects that I think become increasingly important to partners. The other area is probably around data. And I think, we've had lots of conversations about research data for many years within the industry. I think that there's an increasing requirement on organisations to do more with their data. And I think there are going to be more conversations that we're going to be having with partners about how we might be able to support those. And so there are 2 areas that I think might come up in the next few years, but of course it's a pretty open space, I think.
And I think I can maybe pick up on some of the questions that Chris was just picking up, and that would be the sort of early stages of the research cycle where people are still planning the research or writing up, where I think we can see more potential to integrate that into questions of partnerships. And the other side is really what Yola was also talking about, this knowledge transfer and understanding how we might be able to support more of the bench to bench side transfer of knowledge. And that could be by thinking about e-learning that might be linked into partner publications, that might be linked into particular fact sheets, that might be linked into our fast fact series or something like that, that really then also brings the knowledge that is in sort of published in scientific publications in the partner portals or in the partner publications, or that grows out of a series of conference abstracts, and really understanding how to bring that into wider audiences. I think related to that, I think we can also see maybe potentially new partnerships with patient organizations. So also with new groups of partners that might be interested in working with us to really expand the cycle of knowledge and how that might be working. And I think we would also be remiss if we would stand here and say this is how we see the world, because I think the real joy of partnership publications is, of course, working with the partners. So I know that in the last couple of weeks and months, the discussions and years, the discussion we've been having is partially about the question about networking and supporting that more. There are questions about dual language publications and how that might be integrated as versioning becomes more open and as publications and publication formats become more broader. So I think both of those are things that we are currently exploring for our own publications, but could also imagine spreading more broadly in thinking about the partner publications. So I think we should also say that partner publications are such a strong part of our portfolio, and that some of the impulses from the partnership publications are also ones that end up affecting all the publications at Karger. So I think that's a real opportunity for us to also hear what is needed and what is potential and what might be new services and new products we want to develop in partnership.
All right, that's very interesting. So just to maybe summarize, we're not only looking into breaking down the boundaries of mediums if we talk about partnership publications, but we're also breaking down kind of the so-called silos that we find in our ecosystem. So we're trying to move or adapt content or in whatever form it might come beyond the ABC customer group, but trying to find solutions for a multitude of stakeholders.
Yeah.
Iola, can I get your feedback on this question as well?
Well, I mean, Chris and Catherine have actually summarized our thoughts in full, and I fully support what they've said. I do also think that in summary, we will shift to more tailored approaches, really focusing on the needs and requirements of our partners, and we will see more kind of those combined approaches, not only covering the traditional way of publishing, but linking it to new media and new formats, as well as to new stakeholder groups in the future.
All right, and do you think that is especially important for your customer groups, as in industry and societies? Like,
I wouldn't say especially.
Sorry, let me rephrase. Do you already see the need for this?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we see it, and it's what Catherine also said is that from the previous discussions we had in the previous weeks, months, and years, we see this need of finding new ways, exploring new media and formats, and really targeting different groups of stakeholders rather than only one, as it has been maybe in the past. So especially with industry, of course, that they want to approach different stakeholder groups, but also societies, you know, that are looking for this link to other stakeholders as well. Yeah.
And Julia, if I can maybe pick into question, I mean, you mentioned the question of silos, and I think we also are finding that, and we know that stakeholders aren't silos. I mean, people are clinicians and they're society members, and they might be affected by particular disorders or diseases. They might have family members, or they might be part of patient organizations. And so I think that that's very much the storyline of understanding of how one can really speak to multiple voices and to multiple stakeholders at the same time, and if formats need to change, or is it just a matter of translating content or sharing content. And I think that's again maybe where I would circle back to the questions about consultancy, to also understand what might be the most effective partnership publications that works at this point, and also understanding that partnerships change. One might, for instance, decide that one might want to start with a partner portal in an interdisciplinary working group, and then say over the next year, I would like to scale up to an independent partner publication, because now there's the publication volume and the voice has already been found. So I think we're also very interested in mapping out the larger scale of the ecosystem that can support people as they are moving through their own mission and understanding their own position in the scientific ecosystem.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. It's also a very good point to close this guided discussion, I would say, and move on to questions from the audience. We have received one question already. Once again, if you have any questions you would like to ask, please drop them in the box on your control panel. So the question we have received is, compared to other publishers and platforms, what can customers expect from Karger?
I can maybe start saying or circling back to our core values, I think. So what they can expect from us in the first instance is a very close relationship, and I mean, Karger is looking for really working as a consultant and as a partner, rather than just publish work or papers. You know, it's that's actually what makes us maybe special to some extent, that we adapt or are able to adapt our processes and our way of working and publishing to the needs of our clients.
I think you can add as well that we have, really a breadth of different publications and solutions that we support. I think, lots of publishers look specifically at journals and books, let's say. There's lots of different ways that we can support that. And as a specialist within the health sciences, I think for anyone that is looking to, work within that field, the history of Karger in this space is, 130 years. And so I think that specialization is an important characteristic for certain partners in this area.
And I think particularly if you, as you say, healthcare and the potential to speak with clinicians or to speak with patients groups and the close relationships we have with, we're now, I mean, all three of us really work within Karger research particularly, but there is also Karger healthcare, which is led by Joachim, who I think did another Frankfurt webinar just yesterday or the day before. And I think the potential to really have a close-knit community also on our side to say, these are the partnerships that are coming in and what's the potential we could take as a group, as a company to support this partner is really a great opportunity. And I think that's where Jola's vision of the closeness we have with our partners is perhaps one of the key components. And the longer term relationship we also have with our editorial network, for instance, in supporting new publications in specific subject areas.
Yeah, that sounds like a very good point. I like that you can basically translate the points that were just made to everything is connected, which I think was the kind of the motto of the Frankfurt Book Fair 2 years ago or so. So that's quite a nice circle we find there. Another question we have received would be, where do partner publications fall into the Karger portfolio? And I think we've somewhat answered this question already, but can you maybe give us 3 differences or 3 similarities that you see, maybe from an editorial perspective, Catherine?
Yeah, so from an editorial perspective, I think we're very open to have partner publications in all areas of the health sciences, even as our portfolio might have particular strength in certain subject areas, for instance, in neurology or in endocrinology. But I think endocrinology might be an interesting example where we do have an emerging and new partner publications, the Dubai Diabetes and Endocrinology journal, that brings perhaps also that regional specificity that we might otherwise not be able to represent in our portfolio. So I think that's a real strength. So both the sense of that it is within the portfolio and supports the portfolio, maybe also shows the fact that partner publications are part of a larger storyline at Karger.
All right. We have extended our time. That is why I'm happy with only one reason, because I think it's also a very good reason. So it's my pleasure to thank you guys for your insights. It was very enlightening. I would like to thank the audience for your time and for participating. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. This also is the end of the webinar series in the course of the Frankfurt Book Fair. Once more, thank you very much. Please do get into contact with us, and that's that for me. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. Bye-bye.